Hey YouTube, this is a quick review of the new Sony Xperia Pro One 5G. Brand new, I would call it a flagship phone from Sony. The reason you buy this is because of that guy right there, the Zeiss-enabled camera. We'll get into the camera details and talk about my likes, my dislikes, everything good, bad, and quite ugly about this brand new 5G phone from the guys at Sony. So what makes this phone special? Well, the reason you buy this is for the camera. The Xperia lineup has always been Sony's sort of premium built flagship series of phones. This phone is no different than that. We are here in 2022 now, and so we're going to talk about, the cost, benefits, all the good stuff about this phone. It's a very large phone. If you look at it, it's well over 6 inches, and it's one of the more narrow, tall designs, similar to the way a lot of Android phones are going this way these days. Stuff like the Pixel 6 Pro, they're getting away from the fat that originally came out with like the iPhone that's now being trimmed down and being extended height-wise. And so to me, that's a good fit because not only do you get the benefits of a larger screen, but you get that sort of reduced holding size, and so it makes it easier to hold on to with one hand. Now, I still have pretty small hands, and to me, this phone is still a little bit too big. I do find that it's cumbersome to use. I find that it's hard to reach in the corners, and I feel like overall, it just makes it a little tricky to deal with. It is rather on the thick side. I'm sure that has to do with the battery and also the camera array that's built into it. And it is quite heavy too. It's definitely a metal construction, but it does feel solid in your hand. It's well balanced. It feels good to hold on to. You can see that the edges sort of have this ridge pattern to it. And so that does make it really, really nice to hold on to, really nice to use, to put in your pocket and to carry around. Now, I will say ergonomically, the button layout on this thing is a little bit tricky and weird. So you've got like these unknown buttons along the side here, and this is a fingerprint sensor and an on button. This is volume over here, up and down, and then you have your camera and video buttons down here. And so for me, when I take this in and out of my pocket, I'm always ending up like touching a video or a button by accident. And so it's end up launches the camera or launches the video, or like, my fingers end up changing settings on this thing. And so to me, the hardware buttons are a little bit clunky, and they're just not in the right spot. Like they end up, being down here where your fingers are. And so when you're grabbing the phone, you end up touching these buttons accidentally. The other thing too that's strange is so when you use these phone buttons down here, it's not 100% obvious which is which, because while this looks like a shutter and that looks like a video, sometimes you can get confused as to where your fingers are, especially because they all kind of look the same. And so the layout is just the UI and the layout, the user experience and the button layout. It's a little bit clunky and a little bit odd. The fingerprint sensor on the side tends to work rather fast. I wouldn't call it lightning fast, but it does work, and I haven't had any major issues with it. And so even though it's in kind of an odd place, it's still pretty easy to find and pretty easy and quickly to open and operate and unlock the phone. Now, software-wise, screen-wise, we'll talk about that next. The screen, you can see it doesn't have that pop like you find in an iPhone. I don't know the screen technology, but it's lacking some of that color pop, some of that bright color display. I think this might be an LCD versus an AMOLED, whatever. But the color saturation on this phone to me is lacking. It just doesn't have those like standout in-your-face colors like you'd find on a Pixel or an iPhone or one of the other high-end phones. They just look a little washed out. Performance-wise, the phone has been smooth. Things have run quickly. They've launched fast. They've opened quickly. They've, been a really, really great user experience from the software side. Like Sony doesn't have a ton of bloatware in their software. So for me, I really like the Sony ecosystem, and I like the Sony software stack that comes with the phones. It's very clean, similar to what you'd find in a Pixel, way less bloaty than Samsung, and it's very, very smooth and very easy to use. Now, otherwise, the battery life has been really good on this phone. The charging rate is really slow, and I don't know what the deal is with that. I've had this thing plugged into 2 very high capacity chargers, and it just seems to take forever to charge. So I don't know if there's something special about the Sony charger that comes with it, but all the other USB-C chargers that I've used on this guy just tend to really lag, and I don't know why that is, but it's frustrating because, I tend to want to plug something in and have it charge up to like 50% capacity in, an hour or something like that, and it's just stuck at like 19%. So it's just odd that takes so long, and I'm not really sure why. But so now to go to what everybody's talking about here, the video and camera features on this phone, that's very clearly why you buy it. I will say, guys, that I'm rather underwhelmed with some of the video and camera results on this thing. And so, you know, I took a bunch of photos and videos recently, and it's just not that great. I'm going to see if specifically I can find something here. Let's go to the photos and see if I can find it. I was really surprised at how, I don't want to say bad the quality is, but just it's not a huge benefit over stuff like the Pixel or the iPhone. Your interior photos, you know, this is a great shot, but you know, you can see a little bit of a ghosting here next to his outline because of the movement. It's good. It's just, I don't know. To me, the quality does not stand up to the price of the phone. I think that if I were going to spend $1,700 on a phone, I would choose a different one. I would maybe get a Pixel and then a nicer camera. You know, the price of this guy is equivalent to what you would pay for something like a full-size Sony A7. So while the results of this phone are good, I took a bunch of side-by-side videos and photos of this phone plus my iPhone plus my Pixel, and they're just not that great. You know, it's just not a huge overwhelmingly better experience in terms of quality and controls, you know, compared to, say, owning a good quality phone and a good quality camera. Now, if you want to have an all-in-one package with excellent hardware, great battery life, nice size screen, very good photo and video capabilities, dedicated photo and video hardware, as well as dedicated Zeiss optics, this is a great device. And I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised with how good it is. It is really, really good. Personally, I just don't think it's worth the price premium compared to what else is on the market. Hope you guys enjoyed this little quick review. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.